Hey photo world, welcome back to another episode here on takeandtalkpics.com. This is another episode from the former podcast. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the email list. Let's get to that 1,000 subscriber marker so that way I can add a new video every single week. Enjoy. Hey photo world, thanks for being here, and I know you love Take and Talk Pics, but I know there's more on iTunes to take a look at than just our podcast. Head over to takeandtalkpics.com where you'll have an opportunity to win an iTunes gift card. Just enter your name and email and hit the subscribe button, and you will be automatically entered for our weekly drawing for that iTunes gift card. Good luck.
I really like the whole concept. That's really, really neat thing. Getting that information out there and everybody can learn even small thing,
Right.
I think that's a great podcast.
Welcome photo world to Take and Talk Pics. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Rob Kruger, and thank you for tuning in. Today's featured guest is Petar Madzhurov. He is the owner and lead photographer of PicSite Photography, based in Chicago, Illinois. As an award-winning wedding photographer, Petar uses a commercial approach with a glamour and fashion style to display his contemporary wedding imagery. Petar, welcome to Take and Talk Pics.
Hey Rob, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I've given our listeners and photo world out there just a little bit about you, but please take this time to introduce yourself a little more fully for us.
Sounds great, Rob. As you mentioned, my name is Petar Madzhurov. I am the owner and lead photographer over at PicSite Photography. I do specialize in weddings and portrait photography. I would say mostly weddings. My approach is mostly commercial, contemporary, and fashionable style. And I'm happily married with 2 lovely children.
It's always good to hear about the personal life, reminding us that we're still human, Everybody listening, we're not just machines with cameras, so that's awesome. I'm going to get us started off. Well, actually, you're going to get us started off here. And I like to get the ball rolling with some inspiration, pump up photo world here at Take and Talk Pics. Can you go ahead, share a quote or a mantra that you live by that kind of drives you in your photography?
That's a great question. For sure, there's a quote that I really like, and I just follow it every day. It's a great wedding photographer, Jerry Guiones. He says, you don't have to be the best, you have to be better than last week. And I totally believe in that because trying to improve my skills with every passing week. And I'm just trying to follow that quote, and I really believe in it.
I really love that. It keeps you looking back to know what you're capable of, and then it keeps you looking forward to know what you can do next. And that's a really good way to do it. Jerry Guiones, he's one of my favorite photographers, especially wedding. He's a genius with light and cameras and just knows what he's doing. Hopefully we'll get him on the show soon, but we'll see. Yeah, photo world, if you haven't heard of Jerry Guiones, then go check him out. He's got a lot of great stuff to say. He does a lot of talks, and he's invited to speak at a lot of seminars. But he offers a great quote there. And Petar, thank you for sharing it today.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
You're only as good as what you've done last week, so keep going forward, that kind of thing. And that's awesome,
Exactly.
Learn from it.
There's always something that you can learn, always.
Yeah. And if you're not learning, then you're settling. And if you're settling, you're probably failing. So
that is totally true. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's a good way to go. Just keep educating yourself. And you got a good start here at Take and Talk Pics, joining the show. So thank you, Photo World, for educating yourselves. Petar, can you go ahead and share what sparked your interest in your photography enough to make it a career?
Okay, that's a kind of funny story. I mean, when I was younger, I used to take all of our family photos. And a lot of photographers, they think, I'm doing that since I was a kid. But with me, I was trying to do it, but I was the worst possible photographer ever. I always chopped somebody's head, always chopped somebody's legs. Just the composition, everything were totally bad. Just the exposure was okay because it was automatic camera. It was a me.It film camera. And little by little, I start reading, start getting more into it. And when I came in United States back 9 years ago, in 2006, I wanted to go more into it. I wanted to learn a lot more about photography industry. And I started reading and start practicing, start exploring. And in 2007, I bought my first DSLR, Nikon D80. It was just unbelievable camera. And I started reading, trying, practicing again and again. And one day, actually, when I was browsing YouTube, I found that great movie, Masters of Wedding Photography, and that totally just changed my perspective about the industry and what the wedding photography it's capable of. And just since then, when I watched that movie, I just decided that that's it. I'm going to be a wedding photographer. I'll do everything that is necessary to get into that field. And I started learning, going to seminars, practicing. And actually the same year, I shot my first wedding. Of course, I told the bride and the groom that I'm just starting, so that's a good thing to mention if you're just starting there to your future clients. And they were okay with it. They were really happy with the pictures. I started advertising, and since then, everything working really well. I mean, doing a lot of weddings, and so far everybody's happy, which that's that's always a good thing.
That's great. And I just like a few of the golden nuggets there. Just, well, I was interested in it and I started learning and teaching myself and looking up at all the different resources. And it just snowballed into more interest and more learning until you found that inspiration, like, this is it, I'm doing weddings. There are so many people with the misconception that wedding photography is a fallback or, settling on something to do as a photographer. I don't know. I got news for you. And I think every wedding photographer out there can tell you, if you want to have the hardest start to a career, pursue weddings right away. Go for it. It's so difficult because you have to know so much in a very fast-paced environment, and then you have to be a people pleaser and follow through for clientele. But there's nothing wrong with a little honesty, and I really liked hearing that. I told them early on, I'm just starting out, so if you're good with that, that's the reason for the price, and we all have been there. So, your price will reflect your skill. Yeah, everybody starts.
You have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere. And that is totally true about the wedding photography. I believe that's the hardest style of photography, because you have to know how to do portraiture. You have to know how to do candid. You have to know how to pose. You have to know how to do detail shots. You have to know how to do landscapes. So pretty much all of the other styles combined in one. And I mean, you have to be good.
Right.
You have to be really good.
And then you get into what you're using with that. It could be portraiture, and that sounds hard enough, but then it's got to be a mix of a fashion style or the photojournalistic portraiture or, having that studio quality lighting on location ready to go, so you can move through the day. It's hard. It's a big toolbox for photographers of what they're capable of. So, or wedding photographers specifically, not to bash others. I mean, there's so much in every part of this industry, but, wedding photography is not something to think little of, because it's huge. It really is. You mentioned Nikon D80 being your first DSLR. I was, totally sold on their marketing campaign for that camera. And I was looking at my budget, like, can I do this? It was when I was starting out. I went to a community college and was starting out looking into the DSLR stuff. And I was sold on that camera, but I couldn't afford it. So I had to go with a model lower, and I never did get a D80, but I've stuck out with being a Nikon guy ever since. So
same with me. Actually, first of all, that was kind of not true. First of all, I bought the Nikon D40X, and within 2 days, I just returned it and got the D80.
Good move.
And I never, yeah, that's what I thought. I never regret about it. Right?
Very good. Well, Peter, we're here to learn more about you and your story, and we're going to break it down to a time when you had to learn the hard way. We learn from our failures and we grow. So could you bring us to a story or a time you had that you can share with Photo World?
It was close to a failure. It was really close, but that was a really good learning lesson for me personally, and I hope for the rest of the audience there. So I was getting ready for the wedding. I packed off my equipment, checked everything, and the wedding was in downtown Chicago. And I went, parked my car, got all of my equipment, went upstairs to the bride at her hotel room, just for the getting ready portion of the day. Introduced myself to all of the guests there, the bridesmaids, say hi to the bride as well. And I started taking my cameras out, my lenses, flashes, everything. And I was right about to get my memory cards. Guess what? No memory cards. So I forgot the whole case with cards on my desk at my home, which that never happened before, but lucky me, I forgot that, and I didn't have any cards with me. So you cannot shoot a wedding without memory cards. And I was like, drive from my place, so I didn't have time to go back or somebody to bring me the cards as well. So I had to think quickly, and I just took my cell phone out and started looking for electronic stores in the area. And I found two grocery stores and drugstores, actually, Walgreens. And I told the bride, I have to go to my car just to pick up, some equipment. So basically, I kept it really professional and calm. And she said, okay, that's fine. No worries at all. And I started running like crazy in downtown Chicago. I went to the first store. I told the seller there, I told him, sir, I need memory cards. He said, oh yeah, for sure. And he brought me SD cards. I was shooting with D700 then. My camera, it compact flash cards. So those cards didn't work out at all. And he said he didn't have the other cards. So I found another store nearby. So I started running there. Thank God they had the CF cards. So I bought all the cards that they had, all 4 cards, 4 gigs each. So I ran back to the hotel, and actually everything took me like 20 minutes, and nobody ever found out what's happened. And since then, I always have one spare memory card in my car, in my glove department, and I always have one spare in my backpack in case something like that ever happened, to have the extra cards on the side. And those are like 32 gigs, so if you shoot JPEG, you can do the whole wedding without any issues. So always check your equipment, memory cards, lights. Always check everything that you're supposed to have on the wedding day, because that's not a good not a good situation to be at all.
Not a good feeling. But man, pulling it off makes it that much more valuable. But even though you pulled it off, you still took that lesson, and you're like, you know what? This is never going to happen again.
Sure.
And like you said, a 32 gig card. I'm from the schooling where I'd rather have lower memory cards and more of them, especially with a wedding, because it's less to lose should something happen.
I totally agree with that. And I'm with the same. I do the same thing.
But in a backup situation, it's not a bad idea. And I think I'm going to take a piece of that advice, and I'm going to go on Amazon and get a couple 32 gig cards or 64 gig or something, and just have one in the car, have one in the backpack, have one in the camera case in a place I don't normally go. They're available. But that's a great idea. Just back yourself up. I'm on cameras that have dual card slots, so it's easy to always have at least one spot full. Don't take the risk. Back yourselves up. It's inexpensive for what it can actually pull off and do for you. So, exactly. Take that photo world, learn from Peter. He's a genius in disguise here, and just playing it professional. I got to run to the car. No, I got to run to get this day saved,
Oh, yeah. But if I have told the bride, I forgot my memory cards, she would freak out for sure. So you cannot do that at all, especially on her wedding day. So
absolutely,
you got to keep it professional, and you have to find a way how to make things work. And that's with the small memory cards. That's the other things. I always shoot on small cards, 8 or 16 gigs, and always I shoot with Nikon D4, which got 2 slots. So one of the slots is always on. I do have the 32 gigs there, always shooting on JPEG, and the other just keep switching cards, because always something can mess up. Either with the cards, either with the camera. You can drop the camera in the water. You can lose both cards, even the backup. But in that case, when you shoot smaller cards, you're going to have small portion of the day lost, which is not going to be the whole day.
I too am a D4 guy, so that XQD card or whatever is my JPEG backup drive in the camera at all times. If that memory card ever takes off, it's actually a good format, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Nobody else is putting it in their cameras.
Yeah, really.
So we all got duped.
They're really pricey as well. I bought my first 32 gigs for like close to $200. A lot for a memory card.
Same here. And the card reader that's specific to that wasn't cheap either. So,
exactly, yeah.
It's part of the business, you do what you do. With that, that's a great little thing to remember. And I know photo world's out there like, okay, I got to hit Amazon or go to B&H or wherever they buy their equipment and, start getting some cards. As far as the practice and the different things you do through your workflow, from a contact from a client all the way to the delivery of the images and beyond, is there one piece to that workflow that you think is just super important? Don't forget it anytime. It's always there.
I believe that taking the photo correct right at the photo shoot, I think that's the most important part of my personal workflow, because I don't want to spend a lot of time in front of my computer editing, correcting exposure, when you can do it right on the spot. So I believe that's really important for me personal, because I want to do it right at the photo shoot or on the wedding day, nail the exposure closer as I can, the white balance, basically everything as better as I can, so I can spend less time in front of my computer. Just as I mentioned earlier, I'm married, I do have 2 lovely kids, just I want to spend more time with with them, and I don't want to spend countless hours and hours and hours editing. Of course, I do edit all of my work, but when you nail it right on the spot, I I want to do it right on the spot.
Get it right in camera, photo world. People will always tell you, oh, you can fix that in Photoshop, right? The answer is, of course you can. But the real answer is you don't want to have to. It doesn't matter if you can or can't. It's just don't have to, get rid of that time. It's the most precious thing we have. You could spend that time on marketing and meeting with clients and spend that time with your family, the things that you're doing all of this for, like that makes more sense to me. Editing is just a piece of it. You see all those things online where it's like, oh my gosh, everybody thinks what a photographer does is this. And it's really like 80% of the time they're at the computer editing. Well, if you're doing that for 80% of your time, you're already doing it wrong. So, maybe fix the other areas.
That is true.
But get it right in camera. That's great. Peter, we have a wide range of listeners out there, all different levels of photographers to build their business or take it to the next level. So let's break it down to growth and maybe working into a form of success. What's one thing that you think helped lead you into that path or can help lead them for more growth and more success in their businesses?
Rob, I would say just one thing: exceed expectations, under promise and over deliver. I totally believe in that. For example, if you promise your couple that you're going to get their pictures like in 4 weeks after the wedding day, I always try to get them within the second week, and they're just blown away. They never expected that because I never promised that. But when I do that, they're like, wow, our pictures are ready. Peter is so cool. And they start talking about you to your friends, posting that on Facebook, start talking to family as well. Or if you're doing an album, let's say you promise them 20 pages album, just add a couple more pages, like 2-3 pages, which is not gonna cost you arm and leg, it's not gonna cost you a lot. They will really appreciate that, and for sure they're gonna mention to all of their friends and family about you. So that's a good marketing strategy that I'm doing, and so far it's working really well. The other thing that it's really nice, I can say, it's the same-day slideshow. I never promised that, I never mentioned that to my clients. When I do have the time, and I always try to find some time for that, at least half an hour or so, to edit, like 50 or 100 photos and just put them on an iPad or on your laptop on the reception. Everybody just blown away, It's like, especially the bride and the groom, they start crying, they start weeping, and they never expected that. So that's a good way to go.
Under promise, over deliver. That's genius. It's going to be so much cheaper to do that type of marketing than it will to have a monthly fee for whatever website you're going through, or, doing your ads in social media and ads on, Google, the AdWords. They're all great avenues of advertisement, and I think that marketing is valuable. But if you can go with each client, set an expectation and then exceed that which you've already, shared, then they're going to be that much happier about you. That's great. And you're right. They talk about you, and that's what really is the lifeblood of a business, is word of mouth, positive word of mouth.
Exactly, Rob.
Was there a time, Peter, that you have found an aha moment, something, that light bulb that just went off and you said, that's it, this is what I got to do next?
Aha moment. First time when I realized that that's it. People like my work and they treat me as a professional photographer. It was when I got my first review online. It may sound silly, but when I checked my email, oh, you do have a new review. I said, wow, okay, let's see. When I read that review, basically the bride and the groom, they were so thrilled and so happy with all the photos, the way that I behave on the wedding day, the way that I treat all of the guests, and they treat me as a friend as well. When I read that review, I said, wow, okay, so people, they really believe in me and they really like my work. So for me, that personally was my aha. Okay, so that's it. People think of me as a professional photographer. That's it, I'm the photographer.
It makes so much sense. Once you saw there's proof, there's value in what you do and what you offer, it kind of wakes you up a little bit on a different level. Like, oh my goodness, it's not just me who thinks this is fun and interesting and, fulfilling. The client loves it, and they're proving that by saying it publicly and sharing their experience, which was all positive, and then you kind of get that validation, know that you're on the right path, and that motivates you, and gets you a push to do the next one.
It's not only your friends and family saying that you're doing a great job, which all of them, they're like, oh, you're a great photographer. You're a great photographer.
Yeah, we have that. and you look at them and you're like, no offense, but you don't know much about it. So, I need it from somebody who is, not just, by blood telling me I'm awesome or whatever. You need a little more, or at least I feel most of us need a little more than the friends and family. Nothing wrong with that. It feels good, and it's good to have that support system. But When it's a client or your picture speaking for you, your experience speaking for you, then something else is going on that you know about. This leads us into another section here, and I hope it's slightly different, but if it's kind of the same, that's fine too. Peter, can you share with Photo World a time where you kind of thought, you know what, I made it. I'm here. I've had my I made it moment as a photographer.
Probably I would say when I won my first Wedding Wire Award based on all of the reviews as well. And when my work was published in a magazine in Chicago, it's called Today Chicago Women Magazine. So they got in touch with me a couple years ago and they wanted some of my work to be published on their magazine. I was like, wow, okay, that never happened before. I was so thrilled. Just that was like one of my peak moments. And when I got the magazine, the actual magazine, they sent me a copy of the issue. And I was like, wow, I do have it framed as well. It was like unbelievable back then. It's my peak moment for now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's for sure an I made it moment, you know? You do your work, your clients will show you have value, and that all feels great and you want to keep doing it. But then when the industry awards you and shows that you're worth noting in the industry, because, you know, there's competition out there. You have others that you're working against, you know, and sometimes with or for, whatever the case may be, but you're shown value by a publication or, you know, the awards that you receive. We're moving right along and we're actually coming close to the end here. Peter, during your photography career so far, what is the best advice you have ever received?
Best advice that I have ever received. Take it personal with your client. That it's a business, of course, it's a business, but take it personal. Think it as your wedding day. I mean, if you messed up, you don't want that. Basically, they're going to remember you until the rest of their life that way. Okay, Peter, that guy, you know, he messed up our wedding day. I don't want to hear that at all. So the best advice was like, keep practicing, keep shooting, make it personal. Go there as a friend. Don't be just a vendor. So that way, basically, the couple, they treat me as a friend. They feel more relaxed. They feel secure. And they trust me. Whatever I say, they're going to do it. So I just try to establish that connection with all of my couples. It may sound funny, but if you don't like me as a person, I mean, better find somebody which is better fit for you guys, because that's your wedding day. You have to be comfortable. You have to feel really secure with the photographer, because you're spending all day with that person. If you feel strange and awkward, I can see that on the photos. So that's why you have to trust me, you have to believe me, you have to like me as a person. And that way you're not gonna think about the photos at all during the wedding day. Whatever I say, you're gonna do it because you're trusting me. And the final results, you're gonna love them. Be friendly, make it personal, go from there.
In most cases, with weddings specifically, you'll find that the photographer spends more time with the bride than the groom does on the wedding day, you know? And it's kind of a weird phenomenon, but it's true. And you're right. You need to be close enough to them. They need to trust you enough that it's going to be fine, because there's nothing more awkward than having a camera pointed at your face, you know? So it's like, that's a huge thing in the way of this connection. So as long as you have that, it's going to have that camera barrier be not as bad. Exactly. So that's great. I really like it. Be personable, photo world. Get out there. Peter, this one's an interesting question, and it kind of throws us off a little bit, so I'm going to try to break it down as best as I can to give you a scenario. If you had to start your photography all over, you have the same gear, the same knowledge that you currently have, but you don't have a website or a business tomorrow. You wake up. What's the first thing you would go do?
Probably if I have the same knowledge, and if I have the same equipment, probably I'll focus more on the business side, because everybody thinks that it's just shooting and taking pretty pictures. But no matter what, this is a business as well. We have to pay our bills. You have to pay for our equipment as well. So I will try to focus mostly in the beginning on the business side, like establish connection with other vendors, florists, makeup artists, photographers. Just go out there, let people know about you. Because in the beginning, as I mentioned earlier, I did the same mistake. I was just focusing on the photography part, keep shooting. Of course, you have to be ready to go out there. But I mean, business part is really important as well. So just go out there, make connections, friends. I do have a lot of friends, photographer friends. A lot of people there like, oh, okay, he's your competitor. He's not my competitor. He's a friend of mine. We help each other. We recommend each other. We shoot together sometimes when it's necessary. So just go out there, talk to other photographers, workshops if it's necessary. But for sure, business side, don't forget about that. That's really important part. It's a business, no matter what. You have to think about that part.
Photo world, listen up to all of this and rewind, hear it again, because this is awesome information, and we can boil it down to one word: networking. Get out there, build your network, build your teams, give what you can to the community, so that way when you come and ask for something, there are more people involved who are ready to help you out a little bit. And it's all about that give and take, so you have to network to build your business. Do you have one resource, just an online blog that they could follow, or a seminar that would be valuable to attend, any sort of resource?
Yeah, for sure. I can be found on Facebook, of course, facebook.com/PixSite. I do try to be regular as well on Instagram/PixSite. Can be found on Twitter or on my website, which is www.pixsite.com. Or I do try to post as much as I can on my blog, which I'm not really regular over there, which I'm sorry about it, but it's blog.pixsite.com.
Yeah, Photo World, you have a new resource and a new mentor to seek out and ask questions, and don't be afraid because you've already been invited, and all those different methods of contact, they will be on the show notes page on takingtalkpics.com. Just type in Peter and you'll be able to go to his page and see everything there. And I think the resource there is get on social media, put your work out there in every platform that you can. Peter, could you please share with Photo World one parting piece of guidance?
I would say, as I mentioned earlier, keep improving yourselves. Nobody is the best photographer. Like there's no the best musician. I believe in that. So just keep improving yourself, keep learning. I keep learning on every wedding. I'm trying to learn something new. I'm trying to experiment as well when I have the chance, checking out online blogs, forums, going on seminars. Always, if I learn just one small portion, that's great. That's great. Nothing personal against the old school photographers, but you have to improve yourself. You have to improve your skills always and always. Just in that way, your portfolio will be better and fresh as well. So just keep improving your skills.
Keep improving, Photo World. Grow that value about you and your skills. Success will follow, so keep improving. Peter, I can't thank you enough for your time today and sharing such great value. Photo World thanks you, and happy shooting.
Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you for having me, and good luck to all of the photographers out there. As I mentioned earlier, feel free to get in touch with me if I can help you with anything, guys.
That's great. Again, second invitation. You guys have no excuse now. All right. Thank you, Peter. Hey Photo World, are you loving taking talk pics? Maybe you are starting out or wanting to refine your skills in a new area of your photography. Like I say on the show, we are always learning, and that learning doesn't have to stop. The College of DuPage photography program is amazing. I should know, I'm an instructor for the school. Visit cod.edu/photo for more information on their program. Not local to the Chicago area? That's okay. The College of DuPage photography program is now offering online courses. Just check the course catalog for what fits your schedule. Again, that's cod.edu/photo for more information. Thank you, Photo World, for another great time here at Taking Talk Pics. I hope you got the great value I did out of it. I know I had so much fun interviewing our photographer for today, and I want you to be back here next time to hear our new photographer and telling their great story. To follow up with who we interviewed today, head over to takingtalkpics.com and search for their name, and their show notes page will pop right up.